Hi, you're listening to Screen of a Crime.
I'm Tess.
And I'm Maggie, and this is a podcast where we talk about true crime.
And what would happen if your favorite TV and movie characters committed those crimes.
So today we're talking about the Menendez Brothers. So the Menendez Brothers are Joseph Lyle and Eric Gatlin.
Those are interesting names.
I don't know why they have different last names. That wasn't really explained to me. But Joseph Lyle, who goes by Lyle, was born in 1968, and Eric was born in 1970, so they're 2 years apart. So they're super rich, just because they suck. Their father, Jose, worked his way up the corporate ladder and was the CEO of Live Entertainment, which no longer exists, but it was pretty good. And their mother, Mary Louise Kitty Anderson, was a stay-home mom. They lived in Chicago.
Oh, hey.
And then New Jersey before they relocated to Calabasas, California, in 1887. They were 17 and 19, respectively. So both boys were unusually close, that's in quotes, but they were also tennis pros, and their father, quote, pushed them to be their best. So let's talk about the murders, shall we?
Okay.
On the night of August 20th, 1989, the parents were in their living room watching James Bond, The Spy Who Loved Me, when Lyle and Eric came in from behind. They shot Jose in the back of the head, and he died from a contact wound. And then they shot Kitty, crippling her, by shooting her in the leg. They both had 12-gauge shotguns. During the trial, they said Eric was the first to shoot their father, and then Lyle came in to, quote, finish the job. Jose died quickly, but Kitty was, quote, moaning and trying to crawl away. So the brothers reloaded their guns and came back in, and then they shot Kitty a bunch of times in the face so that when the police arrived, she was unrecognizable.
Yikes.
Yeah. Because their father was allegedly tied to organized crimes, the brothers tried to make it look like a mob hit, so they shot their parents in the kneecaps. So, yeah. And then the brothers went to the movies and met up with some friends to prove that that was their alibi, and they saw the Batman movie. So that's fun. And then when they came back, Lyle called the police and screamed that someone killed their parents. They picked up the shotgun casing scattered around the room and changed their bloody clothes. They then hid the shotgun 250 feet down a hill. So, after that, investigators originally did not suspect the boys had killed their parents, but then they started exhibiting odd behaviors, such as Lyle went on a spending spree, he bought a Porsche, and a buffalo wing restaurant. Like a whole
ass restaurant?
Whole ass restaurant.
Nice.
And then Eric went to Israel to compete in a tennis tournament, so a little less jazzy. And then they both went on trips together and spent over $500,000 in the months following their parents' deaths. So, yeah. So the confession happened. Eric confessed to the murder in a session with his psychiatrist. He originally started seeing the doctor because he got into a bunch of crimes when he was younger, and they said, see a doctor.
A bunch of crimes.
A bunch of crimes. They were like petty crimes. Anyway, so the session of the murder confession, it started with Eric going to see the doctor for nightmares. He was having, quote, very vivid images of his dead parents. Wonder why. And then he confessed about the killings. He said that they considered killing their parents the perfect crime. Which, I mean, they would have if they didn't, like, buy a buffalo wing restaurant or anything, you know?
Yeah.
Then the therapist said during the trial, according to him, that the brothers told him they decided to kill Jose and Kitty a week before they actually did it, so they had a week to plan everything, get those Batman tickets and such. And then Eric said that they were putting their mother out of her misery. So that's kind of shitty. The therapist testified that the brothers felt like their mom didn't deserve to die, quote, shouldn't die. They included her in the plan. So they just killed her anyway. And then Lyle said that he, quote, knew his father would be proud of him for killing him.
Well, I don't know what to do with that, but, okay.
Yeah. So the therapist originally didn't go to the police about this, but the information came out when the girlfriend, Judlyn Smith, that's Smith spelled with a Y instead of an I, which is the ex-girlfriend of the psychiatrist, went to the police about it after they had broken up. And then the brothers were arrested in March of 1990. And in the trial, the brothers showed little remorse and didn't seem to care. They were seen laughing with their girlfriends and stuff. The confession by the therapist was allowed in court because the therapist was threatened by the brothers in a closed session. Lyle talked about wanting to kill the therapist, but Eric was like, nah, I don't want to kill anyone. So then, like, they didn't. But they told the therapist that. Like, that they wanted to kill him.
They told... Wait, so in therapy...
In therapy, they were like, yeah, I considered killing you. But then my other brother was like, nah, brah.
Heck.
So then...
Oh, Lord.
So then the rule of confidentiality was, like, removed from the therapy sessions because they were he was threatened. And that's why their confession was allowed in court. You know? Yeah. They had gotten the idea to kill their parents from the movie The Billionaire Boys Club, which is a movie about kids killing their parents for insurance money. But also, Eric wrote a screenplay with his friends about a rich kid who murdered his parents to inherit their fortune.
Well?
Yeah. The brothers tried to claim that they killed their parents out of self-defense, and they claimed that Jose molested them. However, there was nothing to back up that claim, so it was dismissed because the trial went into a mistrial because the jury couldn't agree, and then there was another trial. The first trial was publicized on Court TV, and that's why it got so much publicity and news about it. The second was not, so everyone forgot about them. But they were both convicted and charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison, and their appeals have been denied. They're still alive now, though.
Well, watch out, everyone.
Yeah. That's it. That's what I got.
That's what you got?
That's what I got.
Okay. So that's a pretty fucked up story to work with, but... So, here comes the part for everyone who's just listening now on our first episode. The part where I have to somehow make this work and cram it into the universe of a movie or TV show. Now, from the story, I think the main part is it's two brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Menendez brothers.
Yeah.
Lyle and Eric.
And so I think it's only fitting to relate it to something with siblings. And so I chose to go with The Parent Trap.
Of course.
Yeah.
Lindsay Lohan and Lindsay Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan and Lindsay Lohan star in The Parent Trap. Now, this is the version from 1998.
Is there another version?
Yeah, there's an older version. The 1998 was a Disney Productions remake. I think the first one came out in the early 70s, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. This one's better, though. I've seen both. I'm an avid fan of The Parent Trap.
Of course.
Of course I am.
Of course you are.
But the weird thing is, just a tidbit before I really get into this, honestly, like, it's funny because it is both Lindsay Lohan, but Annie and Hallie. Annie's the British one. Hallie's the one from California, but I liked Hallie more for some reason, even though they, like, actually are the same person. I was like, I'd be friends with Hallie, but I don't like
they had different personalities. Like, the British one was all proper and prissy.
Yeah.
And then, like, Hallie was, like, she was, like, with the dad. And he was just,
The
like,
dad
cooler
was
than the
cooler.
mom.
But the mom was also
No
kind
offense
of...
to the mom.
No, the mom was a total badass, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so this part, I am not as prepared with all the information. This is all just coming out of midair here,
We're
but we gotta make it
going
work.
for it.
So, obviously, you have the siblings, Lindsay Lohan, aka Hallie and Annie. Now, which one of the brothers was older?
Oh, I think it was Eric. Eric was older.
Okay, and was Eric the one that said not to kill the therapist?
I believe so.
Okay, so we're gonna say Annie's probably the one who's a little bit... I mean, they're both unreasonable, but Annie's, I'm gonna say, is the one that's a little bit more reasonable. Annie wouldn't want to kill the therapist.
I'm sure.
Okay, so obviously we have our people. Now, I'm thinking, what would be the motive for the two twins? I think the only obvious motive is they meet at camp still.
Yeah.
That very extensive summer camp. I've never been to a summer camp like that.
Yeah, neither have I. I never had like a stay-in camp.
Yeah, where you do that many activities.
Yeah.
But so
they did the
fencing.
The
That's
fencing.
how they meet. And then
cool.
they take off their helmets.
And they're the same person.
It's
crazy.
But so they meet fencing, and then they do their little picture put together thing. And instead of the cute kind of plot that it comes up with in the Disney universe, where they're like, oh, let's switch and like meet both our parents, they're like, what the fuck? You lied to us? So they're fucking pissed.
So they want to kill their parents?
So they want to kill their parents.
Of course
they're
they
like,
do, yeah.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, no, all logic is thrown out the window here, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So, if you've seen the movie, the two girls both go to the same camp. They meet at camp while fencing, and then there's this really cute montage of like them teaching each other about their different houses. So like they draw fun little maps, like learn this handshake that the British one does with her butler or whatever. You know what's
yeah.
Martin's the butler, and they have this fun handshake. So Hallie has to learn that, and
they pierce
each other's ears
with like
their
a
hairs,
lemon.
They cut their hair. So yeah, but so that whole montage, instead of the fun, cute stuff, it's a murder plot.
Oh, okay.
They're plotting murder. So logistically, the difference is they can't have both the parents at the same time because one's in England and one is in Napa Valley, California.
Unless they kill their parents at the end of the movie when they do meet wherever they met at that hotel.
True. But let's continue.
Okay, you go.
Let's see.
You go.
So, actually, no. I like where you're going with that.
Okay.
We'll take it where they're plotting to get them together and then murder them.
Mm-hmm.
So, the whole fun plan, they're doing that. They're, doing that. And they go back. They still switch initially.
Yeah.
So, just so they can, kind of sense each other. They both know what's going on with both parents.
All right.
So when they're together, they can, anticipate each other's moves a bit better. So Nick Parker is Hallie's dad. He's the cool California cowboy wine guy.
Of course. The coolest dad ever.
Yeah, but then the one thing that would complicate this plot that didn't happen in the actual true crime version is he has that hot girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Elizabeth. Or no, Meredith Blake is the girlfriend. Elizabeth James is the mom. But Meredith Blake is the
hot girlfriend. Yeah.
But she's also a bitch.
Aren't all hot girlfriends, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she complicates things. Now the question is, would they murder her?
I don't know.
Here's my thoughts on what would happen. They don't murder the girlfriend, and here's why. I think because she's such a bitch, they would want her to take them. Because they're still young. They're not...
Like, to be their mom?
Yeah, they want the hot girlfriend to be their mom.
But she's a bitch.
But they're psychopaths in this.
Oh, that's true. You're
this
right.
Universe.
I forgot.
They're not cute Disney stars. They're
No.
actual psychopaths.
Yeah.
So they want the bitch girlfriend
Okay. To be their mom?
to be their mom. Unlike in the plot of the movie where they put her in a lake on a mattress because they don't want her to be her mom.
I forgot they did that.
Have you seen The Parent Trap?
It's been years.
Okay. This was one of those movies that's like a formative movie where I've seen it about 1,000 times.
Oh, okay.
So I know this movie like in and out.
So like me and We Bought a Zoo.
Sure.
I've seen that movie 20 plus times. It's fine.
Anyways. So the girlfriend lives. And the computer notifications coming for us, as always.
Yeah, they are.
The girlfriend lives. And then, who else? Who are the other loose strings in this? The butler.
What about the maid girl with the dad? The nice
Chessie.
one. Yes.
She's, I hate to say it, but they'd kill her.
But she's such a nice person.
And that's why she has to go.
So is the butler going too? Doesn't she end up with the butler?
She ends up with the butler, but I feel like the butler, you know, we'll get to him later, but let's talk about Chessie for now.
Right.
She lives with the dad, Nick, and then Hallie in California, and she's kind of like nanny. I think that's the best word, but helps her out around the house, kind of like the mom figure for Hallie. And she's one of, like, the best characters in the movie. She's super sweet, and she knows the truth about them.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So I think that's why she would have to go.
Because she found out.
Because she knew, she knew from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a very emotional scene in the movie where Annie is very stressed out and she starts speaking French. And then Chessie's like, what the fuck? Hallie doesn't speak French. Mm-hmm. And, like, Hallie, like, she's been playing it off, like, fake Hallie, aka Annie's been playing it off, like, oh, I, like, learned these things at camp and, like, stuff like that. But, like, you don't learn French over a summer.
No.
Fluent French to where you're anxious and you start speaking of a different language French.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Happen.
No.
So I think Chessie would have to go because they would realize that she knew.
Yeah.
Because in the scene in the movie, like, she's like, Annie, is that you? And Annie's like, I guess.
I
just,
guess.
Like, crying.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So she knows. And that's why I think she would have to go. Because she knew all this time.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
The butler, though, Martin,
mm-hmm.
I feel like they just wouldn't care as much with him. Like, I think maybe he's just like, enough not emotionally involved that they would be like, it's okay. Just, like...
So kind of like the therapist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Martin's the therapist. He's, like...
He, like, knows, but he's not going to tell anyone.
Yeah.
But then, I guess, like...
Because that's kind of, like, his gig, is, like, knowing things but not saying them.
Yeah. So he's no risk.
He's no risk. And also, I mean, I guess if you have two murderous twins... You wouldn't step out of line.
Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't want to be killed by twin girls.
Unless, I mean, Lindsay Lohan, though, maybe.
I don't think I want to be murdered by Lindsay Lohan. No matter how much I love her, it's...
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. So, anyways. So, in the movie, they bring the parents together and they meet at a hotel in, I believe it's somewhere in California.
Most likely, probably.
Yeah, it's somewhere in California. They meet at this hotel. Both the parents are there. And they meet at the pool. And it's this whole scene, like, they both fall in the pool together. They run into each other, like, on the pool deck. And everyone's shook. The girlfriend, Meredith, I always forget her name, just the bitch girlfriend.
Yeah, the bitch girlfriend.
The bitch girlfriend is like, what the fuck? Like, why is your wife here? And why is she also super hot? Because she is.
That's true. And British, so.
Yeah, so you really can't compete. So, that's the other reason why I think the girlfriend would stay alive, is because she probably wouldn't mind it. You know? She wouldn't mind the murder.
Oh, yeah. How does she... I haven't seen the movie in a while,
okay.
But how does she react to them?
She is confused.
Is that it? Does she just leave?
No. Oh, no. She's confused and jealous.
Okay.
She's threatened because the wife comes back. And
he's obviously in love with the wife.
And he's obviously still in love with her.
Yeah.
But then there's a point where they all go on a camping trip together.
Oh.
And the girls want the mom, Elizabeth, to go with, and then she's like, oh no, just you and, like, the dad and the family. And so they go, and then the girls don't like her, and she's, like, not really making an effort to get super close with them, and it's very obvious.
Yeah.
But that's when they pull out her mattress from her tent in the middle of the night and put her on the lake. That's kind of like an iconic scene from that.
Yeah, I remember that. Is that where it ends for her? I mean, she doesn't die, obviously.
No, she doesn't die from the lake, but she is. Yeah, she kind of is like, I'm out.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I would be out after that too.
Yeah. And then also because the dad is just so obviously so in love with the mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like.
Because they're meant to be.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. They're meant to be.
They're meant to be. Yeah. So, anyways, they come back together. Now, the question that's still up in the air is how would the murder go down? Because we know it was just at home, but here they don't have a singular home for all four of them. So.
I mean, the California home was pretty big.
It was big. And, actually, now that you say that, this gives you the perfect place. The wine cellar. You haven't seen this movie.
I haven't.
So you don't know the details. But the husband and wife, Nick and Elizabeth, they had a special bottle of wine that he's keeping in his wine cellar. And there's a scene where they go down to the wine cellar and talking about it, and the girls are all like, oh, they're getting closer.
Okay.
Alternatively, instead of them being like, oh, they're getting closer, they're like, oh, they're getting closer to murder.
To their death.
To their death.
Yeah.
So, in the wine cellar, it's dark.
Thank you.
It's no one can hear. They're on this big vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
So, that I think would be the moment where the parent trap turns.
Where they turn, where they kill their parents.
Where they turn.
Yeah.
They're both alone. The girlfriend's off doing who knows what.
Yeah.
But we all know where she stands. She doesn't care.
Exactly.
So, they go down. Same murder weapons, because you can they're on like a big...
12-gauge shotguns?
I don't know guns that well, but sure.
Yeah, I think they're like the
They're just the
ones.
they're on a farm, a vineyard, farming grapes.
Yeah, people have shotguns.
People have shotguns. I don't know. I'm not.
Well, they're both in California, so.
Yeah, they're in California. It's in the U.S. It's not in Britain, so it's free reign on the guns here.
Of course.
So they have those, and then that's how it happens.
They kill him.
They kill him.
Shoot a dad of the year in the back of the head, and then they brutally destroy the mom.
I don't think they would I think it would be equal with both of them.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be as brutal as that, because I still don't think they'd be as fucked up as those two.
Yeah.
Partially because I think Elizabeth James, the mom, is really nice. I wouldn't want that to happen to her.
Well, apparently, I mean, Kitty was really nice. They didn't want to kill her, but they just,
That she got it worse. That's odd.
It is odd. I feel bad for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the parents are dead. Now, there's still some loose ends. Chessie, like I said, she's gone.
She's gotta die.
She hears the shots from upstairs, comes down, and then also gets shot.
Gets off, yeah.
So, pretty simple, but you got it. They want to keep everyone in one place. And then Martin, the butler, he is staying at a hotel, I believe, because they were at the hotel. So I don't think he's there. So that probably complicated their plan a bit.
Yeah.
But as we know, he's going to keep his mouth shut. So Martin, alive. Chessie, gone.
Deceased.
Parents, gone. Hallie and Annie, the murderers.
Just,
Meredith Blake, the hot girlfriend.
of course.
She's alive and, not that disappointed. So, yeah.
What about their alibi? Did they go see Batman?
Oh, good question. Alibi, Meredith took them out.
Hot girlfriend?
The hot girlfriend
Just to
took them.
clarify.
What would they do?
I mean, they could see Batman.
Well, what movie came out in 1998? They were having a Titanic viewing party.
Of course.
That came out in
3 hours
1997
long.
technically, but they got the VHS tapes, the 2-part VHS tapes, because it's too long. You had to watch it in 2 parts.
Yeah. It's real time safer.
Yeah. But they were watching Titanic with her at the hotel, with Martin as well. All 4 of them were there.
So Martin's in on the alibi?
Martin's
Oh,
in
wait,
on
no,
it.
they go with them after they do the killing.
Yeah.
Yeah, understood.
Now, and the guns, they leave with them. Actually, here's another thought.
Oh.
They set it up as a murder-suicide. Or just a double murder.
A murder-suicide would be interesting because Chessie, right?
Yeah.
She could have killed the husband and the wife out of anger because she always wanted to be with the husband, and then she offs herself because she'll never be with him.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the 3 dead, murder-suicide setup. Because you have to explain why the guns would be there.
Yeah, even though it's 2 guns, it's just like...
That's fine.
It's whatever.
Well, maybe they shared one. They shared one gun.
Okay.
We'll put it at that.
Can we do that?
I think they'd be smart enough to...
They're small enough to share a gun.
Yeah. I don't think they could handle 2.
No, it's too much.
Yeah. Let's see. I think that's any other questions? What else? Loose ends. They alibi watching it with the 2 adults.
And I mean, their family's pretty rich, so they would indeed get the money.
They would.
The inheritance.
Oh yeah, what would they do with the money?
Oh, well, they definitely buy a Porsche.
No, I think
a wing restaurant.
No, I think so. Hallie is kind of a tomboy, you know. Yeah. I mean, if you didn't have a crush on Hallie version of Lindsay Lohan as a child,
then you must be straight.
Because I for sure did. No, I think Hallie would buy a horse because she's a horse girl for sure.
Oh yeah.
She would buy like a horse and or no, let's dream bigger for her. She would buy a rodeo.
Or a horse farm. Do those exist? Is that what a rodeo is?
A rodeo, well, horse farm is just like a farm with horses. But I think she would want to get a rodeo to have do the barrel racing.
Oh yeah.
And the lasso. I think she'd want to devote her life to horses.
Yeah. What about
Annie? Annie definitely had a taste for fashion and style.
Yeah. Oh,
her
she'd buy a fashion agency.
Well, the mom was a wedding dress designer. So I think Annie would not design wedding dresses, but she would maybe design something super specific, like hats or jewelry.
Yeah.
Or maybe
specifically nice gown gloves.
I was just about to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Annie would become some sort of weird James Bond, the girl who's you think she's just the Bond girl, but then she's the villain.
Whoa, the turn.
Silk dress, pearls, martini glass kind of vibe.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And then Hallie's
I have a rodeo.
Yeah, she's the Bush twin of them.
Yeah.
They're actually just the Property Brothers.
Oh
That's
my god.
the other version of this.
They turn into the Property Brothers.
Yeah. Because one of the Property Brothers is the Butch one. And then
and the other one's
real
one's
estate.
the one that knocks down the walls and the other one has nice suits.
Yeah.
You know, the Property Brothers.
Yeah. So, and then they would probably get found out. I think the butler would crack one day.
Probably. Maybe.
The girlfriend, no.
I don't think so.
I think she's just
she cares
as fucked
enough.
up as them.
But I feel like the butler, one of those days, or maybe, I don't know, the girlfriend of the butler. Like in my story.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I think the butler cracks, and then he has to immediately go to the police because he doesn't trust those 2.
Of course not. They'd go after him.
So he goes and he's like, y'all, please, you have to believe me.
Yeah.
And he confesses, and then they are questioned, and then,
And then
they're jailed.
They're jailed because they're not that smart.
No, they're smart.
They break under pressure.
They definitely are. They definitely would break under pressure.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially if you separated them. It's like any siblings that are too close.
One could say unusually close.
Unusually close. Yeah. Those type of siblings, no. They're not.
Just separate them. They break immediately.
Yeah. So that ends it for my analysis of The Parent Trap.
So if you like what we do here, please support us on Patreon. Our Patreon is patreon.com /Screen of the Crime. Our Instagram is Screen of the Crime. No spaces, no underscores, nothing. And our Twitter is @Screen of the Crime. It's pretty simple. Please help us out. We're very poor. We're college kids. We don't have any money. We would really, really love your support.
Yeah. So thanks for listening.